This is my Chrysler Conquest that I swapped with a 5-liter Ford small block. In the last video that we had, I was just getting the engine put into this car. I'm going to give you a rundown on how I got it running and driving at this point. It was actually pretty easy to get here. Not too much work involved. The 5-liter fit pretty well into the car. There's a couple things that I did do that weren't necessary, but they were good upgrades, such as the Mega Squirt ECU, so I can tune it. Some aftermarket headers, so it fits a little bit better. But overall, just a little bit of hammering on the tunnel, a clutch conversion kit, and cutting out the subframe to fit the engine in. Come on over, I'll show you some things underneath the hood. And it's surprising that the hood actually fits with this engine on. I had to get a Griffin radiator. I found perfect specs to fit. It is electronic fan, so I got rid of the belt-driven fan, giving me some more space and keeping this core support on. I did cut this out to help me get the engine in. I went ahead and upgraded the alternator. This is the 3G alternator upgrade from the next generation Mustang. It has a 160 amp output. The factory Mustang has a 75 amp output. And with all the electronics on this car being from the 80s, it didn't really want to charge the battery very well. And they're known to catch on fire, so I went ahead and swapped it out. Wasn't too much money. I just found a random battery from AutoZone that would fit. I just measured the area, made a little battery bracket at the bottom, and wired everything up with the factory Conquest fusible links and relays. So the entire chassis ran off that, and the engine is ran off its independent fuses that I put in line, running power to the Mega Squirt and the ignition system. Not too much involved there. The wiring overall wasn't too bad. I had a Fox body wiring harness from a 86 or 87, whichever one there is. It doesn't have a wiring diagram for it, so I had to pin everything out myself, but I got it to work. And then once I got it to work on the factory A9L ECU, I swapped it over to the Mega Squirt, which my wonderful girlfriend and parents got me. Right now, it's running on a bass tune. I have some slight tune settings changed to get it to idle better, but we're not there yet. That'll be the future videos on actually tuning it correctly. I got a AC delete kit, so I can still run the factory belt routing for the serpentine belt. This I got online for like $60, and it keeps the factory water pump running in reverse. So I'm going to go through the list of things that I did that are the little details on here. Since the last video, I fully installed the upper intake and the engine, of course, and the fuel system. On the rear end, I have a aftermarket fuel pump. Runs like 400, 300 something gallons per hour. It's crazy. Too much for this situation. I'm running the stock fuel pressure regulator, which I should definitely change because that's based on the stock fuel pump, but it's working so far. The radiator I took, I had my buddy Toby, who's a welder, re-weld the positions of the inlet and outlet so that I could use the factory 5.0 radiator hoses, and they fit pretty well. Just a little bit of a hammering out there on the core support. We went ahead and took this car on a shakedown test after I got it all done. I'm sorry we didn't release a video in between that, but here's a clip of it on our first shakedown test.
Placed.
Yeah, it sucks. And we got it back, and there was, like any shakedown test, a couple things to fix. I had to replace the water pump because it wasn't really working right. So I got a brand new one, put it on. Should have done that originally, but whatever. Fixed the seat belts. It was kind of scary driving without those working, but I had found out that I cut the seat belt control computer power wire for my ECU, so I just changed that up and fixed it. So they work now. I swapped the headers out with Patriot tight tuck hot rod headers. Everything that I'm using now, I'm going to throw in the description. I'll throw links. These fit actually really well. I just did it based on looking at the images of the products and kind of just judging how everything would line up, and I got real lucky with this one. But they fit great. They come with output flanges. You'll see that there's no exhaust hooked up after the header, and the next episode of this, I have the exhaust parts on the way, so we'll be doing a custom exhaust for this, because right now it's way too loud, as you've heard. With the Mega Squirt ECU, it runs as a speed density, so I was able to get rid of the math sensor, which is on the intake tube. Gets rid of some restrictions, changes the tuning a little bit, and it gets rid of wiring completely, which is nice. So I don't have wires running for the math sensor, and I can kind of upgrade the throttle body now, make a bigger intake and everything. With after the first shakedown, the clutch and the gas pedal were kind of feeling like opposites, you know? Usually the clutch should be stiff and the gas pedal should be a little softer, and it was the other way around. So I took the spring off the clutch pedal and I put it on the gas pedal instead. I think I did. No, I did the other way around. I took the spring off the gas pedal and I put it on the clutch pedal. So now it has a more consistent feeling and easier to drive. And then I found out that my steering linkages were all loose. Tightened those down, made a world of a difference on steering. And we took it out for another test drive, and it was way better. Here's another clip of that.
The rattly dash.
This thing roars.
And then I did a couple convenience and cosmetic things. I fixed the rear hatch struts. They were blown out, so the hatch wouldn't open up. And if you're trying to find them, I found them on Alibaba for like $40, and they were direct fit, except they didn't have the electronic plastic collar connector for the third brake light and the wiper. All you got to do is just detach them from your existing ones and swap them out. It's kind of a weird process, but it ends up working like factory. I put the hood pins on because I had to get rid of the factory hood latch, which is where my radiator is now. So I have hood pins that go to the factory bump stops for the hood, and it's great. I love it. They're lockable too. Then I fixed my reverse light, hooked it up to my transmission. That works great. Reverse lights on these suck though. And then the coolant overflow I installed. Got one from Amazon, just a basic can with the lid on it. I put a coolant temp sensor to run my electric fan. It's a thermal switch right here. It's an inline switch I got on Amazon. The switch itself that it comes with is kind of garbage, and I ordered a different one, which I have to replace, but it works. You can get the temperature range you want for that fan to kick on, and that thing is definitely cool in the engine. So now there's a couple extra things I did. I got a really, really cheap head unit. It's a double DIN touchscreen. It was not worth it. It looks cool when it's turned off, but when it's on, it's just like garbage. So I wouldn't recommend the $40 head unit on Amazon. Go ahead and spend that $160 at least, because I'm going to end up swapping mine out because it sucks. I put some new headlights in. I found these on Amazon too. I was just trying to find something that looked a little bit meaner. I like how they look with the red. I found out that when the alternator wasn't charging, I also had like one engine ground. I don't know what I was doing at the time. I just completely forgot about that. So I added an extra engine ground, and I replaced the factory engine ground with a bigger and better ground situation. So now it's actually charging well. And I do plan, like I said, getting the exhaust system hooked up in the next video. We'll be doing some tuning with that because I don't have O2 sensors right now since there's no exhaust system. So that brings a whole new world of tuning into this. Getting new tires for the car because these are garbage and old and rotted out. I'm surprised they haven't popped on me yet. And a new steering wheel. That one that's on my car isn't even from this car. I don't know what it's from, but yeah, it's ugly. Take a look at it. In the not too far future, I plan on getting the GT40 heads and intake. Toby and I might end up making a custom upper intake for this, so we can run a different throttle body and bigger intake runner. Also, even further in the future, I think I'm going to go ahead and throw a centrifugal supercharger on it, or a pro charger, right where this AC delete is. That'll be exciting. Be some real power on that. But all in all, I mean, honestly, it was like a pretty straightforward swap. I'm really happy with it. Obviously, there's some little cosmetic things to do, front bumper, the lower air dam, and fix the paint, but it's screaming and it's driving great. And we got some sick clips to show you from more recent on this, so check these out. Lastly, with the upgrades that I plan on doing is getting D2 coilover kit so I can modify the suspension and lower it just a little bit. And I also made a custom subwoofer on it, almost for free, but I have a 100 amp circuit breaker here coming off the battery running to a amplifier underneath my driver's seat. And I'll show you the subwoofer real quick. Love it. Fits well. It's 12-inch, and for those wondering, obviously you can fit a 12-inch back here because it's not 12 inches from top to bottom. Just got to angle it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little overview of how I got this to where it is now. I'm excited for the future videos with the mods, performance upgrades, and tuning on it. So be sure to check those out, like and subscribe to see those. And if you got any questions on this, please comment below. I'll let you know anything about it. Peace.